The old clock in the corner of the room ticked loudly, its relentless pendulum swings echoing through the dimly lit space. The chill of the night air seeped in through the cracks in the ancient, weathered walls. 5 friends huddled around a creaking wooden table, their breath visible in the frosty atmosphere. They had gathered in the abandoned cabin deep in the heart of the woods to share tales of the macabre. The leader of the group, Thomas, was known for his gift in weaving spine-tingling stories. Tonight, it was his turn to spin the tale, and he began with a whisper that silenced the room. Many years ago, he began, there was a place called Deadwood Forest, a dense wilderness shrouded in mystery and terror. Locals whispered of a curse grove hidden deep within its heart, a place where the living should never tread. The others leaned in, their eyes fixed on Thomas, drawn into the story's embrace. Thomas continued. In this forbidden part of the forest, there was an ancient, gnarled tree, the likes of which none had ever seen. Its twisted roots like skeletal fingers clawed at the earth, and its bark was as black as midnight. This tree, known as the Soul Collector, was said to house the spirits of the damned. The room grew colder, and the friends couldn't help but feel a sense of unease, as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. Thomas's voice took on a haunting melody as he described the legend of the tree. It was said that every night, the tree would come to life, its branches reaching out to ensnare anyone who dared enter its curse grove. Those unfortunate souls would be trapped forever, their lives stolen, their souls claimed by the tree. Tension filled the room as they imagined the malevolent tree in the dark depths of Deadwood Forest. In the village near the forest, Thomas continued, there lived a curious and daring young woman named Isabella. She had heard the tales of the Soul Collector but scoffed at the superstitions. One moonless night, driven by a morbid fascination, she decided to venture into the woods, determined to prove the legends wrong. The friends leaned in closer, their breaths quickening. They knew that Isabella's curiosity would lead her to a fate none could predict. As Thomas continued, the room seemed to grow darker, the shadows dancing ominously on the walls. Isabella ventured deeper into Deadwood Forest, guided only by the soft glow of the stars. The forest was eerily silent, save for the occasional rustle of leaves, and the sensation of being watched never left her. He paused for effect, and the creaking of the old cabin seemed to harmonize with the tension in the room. Finally, Isabella reached the grove, Thomas whispered, and there it stood, the ancient tree with its twisted branches and blackened bark. It beckoned to her, its sinister aura drawing her closer. A collective shiver ran down their spines. They could almost see the cursed tree, its ominous presence looming in the depths of the forest. Isabella hesitated for a moment, but her curiosity overcame her fear. Thomas continued. She reached out to touch the tree, and the moment her fingers made contact, a chilling wind swept through the grove. The branches came to life, wrapping around her, their grip like iron. The room felt even colder as the friends imagined Isabella's plight. Desperate and terrified, Thomas went on. Isabella tried to break free, but the tree's grasp only tightened. She cried out for help, but her voice was lost in the haunting melody of the wind, the same song the tree had sung for centuries. Each member of the group was now completely captivated by the tale, their imaginations running wild with the horrors that unfolded. Thomas's voice dropped to a whisper, and he leaned in closer. As Isabella struggled against the tree's embrace, she felt a sharp pain in her chest. The Soul Collector was stealing her very soul. She could feel her strength wane, and with a final desperate gasp, her life was extinguished. The room fell into an eerie silence as Thomas concluded the story. The friends exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of the chilling tale sinking in. Just then, the old cabin seemed to come alive with a ghostly presence. The creaking floorboards echoed and the room grew colder, the temperature dropping dramatically. The friends' breaths formed frosty clouds in the air, and they realized with a sense of dread that the soul collector had become more than a mere legend. Terrified, they heard the soft, haunting melody of a lullaby as if carried by a ghostly wind. It was the same eerie song that had ensnared Isabella in the story. Frantic and desperate, they rushed to the door, but it refused to budge. The room was now enveloped in darkness, save for the faint glow of the moonlight filtering through the windows. The lullaby grew louder, the haunting melody filling their ears. The shadows danced around the room, taking on sinister forms. The soul collector, a malevolent presence awakened by the telling of its tale, reached out from the story, ready to claim its next victim. The friends huddled together, trapped in the room as the temperature continued to drop. The room's wooden walls seemed to twist and warp, resembling the gnarled branches of the cursed tree. The ghostly presence drew nearer, and they could feel a spectral hand reaching for their souls. Their breaths quickened, and they knew that they were at the mercy of the soul collector, a vengeful spirit that had transcended the boundaries of fiction. The chilling tale they had heard had brought the ancient evil to life. In that room, deep in the heart of the forest, they would become part of the macabre legend, just like Isabella before them, their souls claimed by the cursed tree. As the lullaby grew louder, the room plunged into darkness, and the friends' terrified screams were lost in the haunting melody of the wind. The old cabin in the woods had become a place of terror where the stories told in the dead of night could bring the horrors of the past to life. And so they remained, trapped in the tale of the soul collector, a cursed legend that would live on in the whispers of those who ventured into the dark woods, their souls forever entwined with the malevolent spirit that lurked within Deadwood Forest,